Good morning everybody and welcome aboard this Piper Warrior. We are going to be taking it around the mountains on a very cold and windy day here in northern New York. The goal is going to be to take this thing on a $100 hamburger up to, or I guess $500 hamburger these days with inflation. We're going to take it all the way up to Saranac Lake up in the northern Adirondacks. So we're going to talk about the weather here in a second. There are some low ceilings and high winds. We're going to be departing here in Fulton County, which is an airport I've been to more times than I can count. And we're going to navigate all the way up to Saranac Lake. Now, considering the relatively low ceilings, what you should do in real life if you're trying to plan this out is just hug the west side of the mountains. And the reason for that is because the winds are out of the northwest today. So if you're flying and you see snow and bad visibility that you don't like, literally turn around because there's crappy weather ahead of you that's moving towards you. There is a low chance, not a zero chance, but a low chance that the weather behind you is going to get worse because where's the weather coming from? In front of you. So if you do encounter something that you don't like, just turn around and start navigating back to where you know the weather is good. But I think flying around this entire mountain range wouldn't make for a very interesting video, so we're actually going to give it a shot navigating through the mountains. Now you have to be careful with this because the ceilings are averaging around 3,000 MSL, and you can see there's quite a bit of terrain that goes above that. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of depart. I want us to navigate around Peck Lake here, kind of between this little area here. If we have to, we can go around Sacandaga Lake. The goal is going to be to reach Piseco. We're going to try to navigate up Indian Lake, and then from here it becomes a little bit tricky. We can either kind of go through Blue Mountain Lake and around here. I think the terrain's going to be a little bit too sketchy, too close to make it through that, especially if the ceilings don't look great. So I think the better option is just going to be to navigate straight and then follow this road around Long Lake. And then from there, if we just hang just to the west of these mountains here, we want lower terrain, we want as much distance from these mountains as we can, and we want to stay safe with the weather. If at any point we are flying and we just don't like what we see, the visibility's dropping, the ceilings seem to be incrementally getting lower and lower, which does happen in real life. I know you think, oh, well, you'll just see it's either lower or it's not. No. It actually does slowly get incrementally lower and lower, and if you're trying to fly one of these valleys, that's going to be sketchy, because at some point you're like, okay, well, I can hold 3,000, no problem. And then you're like, okay, well, let's make that 3,000, let's make that 2,700. Okay, now let's make that 25, and now it seems right below you. Okay, let's make that 2, and then you realize, wait, but the elevation here is only 1,500 feet. That's how you can start to get yourself in trouble, and then the question becomes, do I have the distance, if I'm flying through these valleys, to make a safe turnaround at the very bottom of this? And the answer might be no. So that's why, if we at any point just aren't comfortable with what we're seeing, what we're going to do is we're going to divert to Glens Falls, which is over here. If we're over this part of the mountain passes over here, up near north end of Indian Lake, we can just go ahead and follow this road straight all the way to Lake George, and then Glens Falls is right there. Glens Falls is reporting VFR scattered 3000s in the forecast and currently looks alright. If we don't like what we see and we're not over Indian Lake yet, we can just turn around, fly over to Sacandaga Lake, and then make Glens Falls there. For the weather briefing, yes, I did actually grab a weather briefing. You can grab as many of these real-life weather briefings as you want, just don't actually file. No closed or unsafe, no TAMs. Obviously, we have some IFR air mets. There's a few of them posted, and they're all valid. Very windy today, and we'll talk about that in a second. It's going to be very bumpy navigating around these mountains, especially when we're around Piseco, where we're on the leeward side of that big mountain there. It's actually, these isobars are not as close together as they were forecasted to be. I thought we were going to be looking at like 30 to 40 knots of wind today, but still gusting in the 20 range. METARs, you'll notice Saranac Lake is IFR. You'll notice it's IFR due to the light snow and reduced visibility. So they're actually saying that over time, as we get close to around 11 o'clock my time, it's supposed to get better, so that's a little bit promising. And then what's really important to ceilings here is you can see they're averaging an overcast of 2,900, 2,800, and the terrain here varies, so it's hard to tell exactly, but around that 3,000 range is what I would expect these to be at. Looking over at Saranac Lake, we're looking at marginal conditions, ceiling broken 1,800, which is actually closer to a 3,000 foot MSL ceiling. It's just because of the increased elevation in this airport. And then we're looking at temporarily 2 statute miles of visibility, so that's that temporary IFR that we're currently in. And they're saying that should be gone by around 8. Well, it's actually 9:30 right now, and you can see that things are haven't really improved too much. What I will say though is, and I'll tell you why I want to do this flight, it is becoming clear from the forecast that this snow, both the forecast and radar, that this snow is kind of just popping in and out of existence. I would be willing to bet that that snow shower that just made it IFR is going to be passing. And the reason for that is this morning when I first looked at it, it was saying marginal, and then it briefly dropped down to IFR due to light snow showers, kind of as we forecasted. Only thing that's interesting here on the NOTAMs is FICON 111, so 50% ice, 50% compact snow at Saranac Lake. If we're a big heavy plane, then yes, that is a little bit concerning. I'm not worried about that. I've landed on 111 before in real life on a even shorter runway in just as windy conditions. So to recap all of this, I'm probably going to trim a lot of it out for the video, but basically we have ceilings that we do have some terrain that gets that high, which is why we planned this flight plan to go kind of around these lakes here to Piseco and then follow Indian Lake where the terrain is a little bit lower. If at any point it is clear that a snow shower or low ceiling has popped up along our route and we just don't like what we see, you know what we're going to do? We are going to turn around, fly westbound where we know the eastbound where we know the weather is better, and go to our alternate of Glens Falls. If we're up by Indian Lake, we'll follow this road. If we're down below Piseco, we'll just go to Sacandaga Lake and fly to Glens Falls that way. That's it for the planning portion of this flight. Let's go ahead and get this I've already went ahead and fueled up the plane, did the weight and balance. We're all good to go here. We'll hop in here in just 10 seconds and get the plane going. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Piper PA28 Warrior. Nothing, it's just a PA28. It's nothing too crazy here. We'll go ahead and close this up because it is cold out there and windy. We don't like it. So we'll close this up and let's just go ahead and fire this bad boy up. So go clear that yoke for a second. Start items are pretty straightforward. Really all you gotta do is turn the battery on. Set fuel selector, we'll leave it on the left side for now. Let's see, the anti-collision light needs to come on. Got good fuel. Mixture to rich. Is it going to actually let me adjust the primer? Maybe we'll give it 3 of the prime. Oh my god, it's actually going to work. Primer and lock, give it 2 pumps of throttle. Leave it right there, and we should put the fuel pump on too. There's good fuel pressure. If the outside area is clear, parking brake set. I mean, obviously this guy's not clear, but good enough, right? Clear prop. We will go ahead and hold down the brakes. Parking brake set. I'm going to go ahead and crank the starter over. And I need to be one hand on the throttle for this, so hold this down. There's the prop cranking. There it goes. And verified oil pressure came alive. Is it going to stay there in the green? Yes, it is. Okay, great. Throttle to 1000, releasing my toe brakes. Parking brake's doing its thing. We'll go ahead and close this up. And we'll make sure the fuel pump's off. We can go ahead and lean out this mixture to about 50%. Let's go ahead and grab the weather real quick. The AWOS here. Actually, I think it's an ASOS. Oh no, it's an AWOS of 19225. Is it going to work? Hello? 19225? Alright, well I just came to a conclusion that the entire frequencies here are wrong in Microsoft Flight Sim, because when I tried troubleshooting and selecting the COM1 CTAF frequency for Fulton County, it switched me to 22.9, and 22.9 is not the CTAF frequency for Fulton County, it's 22.7, so let's not worry about that for today. We'll test it with a frequency that I know works once we take off, but alright, we'll say we have the weather, and I'm just going to cheat and look on ForeFlight here. Looking at Fulton County, latest weather report was winds 320, gusting to 20, variable directions from 290 to 360. We're definitely going to be taking runway 28 today. Ceiling scattered 35, temperature -2, dew point -10, altimeter 2971. 2971 is set, and that's showing within 75 feet of field elevation of 881. Let's go ahead and release this brake now, and actually, you know what I should do? Set you to 1200. Now all our avionics are set up. No need to sit around and wait anymore. Let's look outside. Area is clear. We're on 22.7. Brakes checked. Alright, here's what's going to happen here is we are going to go ahead and attempt to turn this thing around. Now I've noticed this plane is trickier to taxi in the sim than it is in real life. So we're just going to go ahead and stop it right here and set parking brake. Power to 1000. Okay, great. This will be our run up, blocking the taxiway. Great. Alright, let's just do this run up real quick. So mixture rich, fuel pump on, lights are fine the way they are, altimeters, flight instruments, all look good. The DG matches the mag compass, which is good. We'll hold down the brakes, keep this yoke back and bring you up to 2,000 on the RPM. Fuel flow looks good, the ammeter looks good. Great, let's do a quick idle check. Engine is stabilized. Great, we'll put carb heat off. You to 1,000. And we'll just do a quick departure briefing. We're going to be taking off from runway 28 out of Fulton County. Winds are out of 290, gusting to 20, variable up to 360. So right crosswind, 4,000 feet available here. Any abnormalities on the runway, we are closing the throttle and aborting the takeoff. Once we take off, before we reach a pattern altitude of 1,800 feet, we will pitch for best glide 76, land straight ahead. Afterwards, we will make a right-hand turn back for the airport. Normal departure procedure, no altitude or heading restrictions. Once we pass 1,500, we'll make a right crosswind departure to the north and then begin to navigate northwest to Peck Lake and then start making our way over to Piseco. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Nope. Awesome. We'll go ahead and just run these takeoff checklists with just landing light on. Fuel selector looks good. Make sure it's carb heat off. Let's get out of here. And this is what I mean about how annoying this thing is. As soon as you release the brakes, it takes like a second for the plane to respond to you, which kind of realistic if you didn't have if you had like the nose wheel angled, then yes, it would take a second to fix that. But the moment you start rolling, it should be okay. If you actually had the nose wheel straight, like I know we had that time. Anyways, final clear, runway clear. Fulton County traffic, Cherokee 7372 Juliet is taking off runway 28. We're making a right turn to the northwest. Fulton County. Final is clear. Runway is clear. We'll be doing a normal takeoff today. And we're clear for takeoff. Just get myself lined up here on runway 28. There we go. We'll go ahead and start to increase you up to about 2,000 on that RPM. Ailerons into the wind. Everything's stabilized. Full power. RPM's good. Airspeed alive. Gotta hold this crosswind correction in. I'll hold that crosswind correction in. 60 rotate. Start applying back pressure. And off she goes. We will climb out here at 76. Edge gauges all look good. RPM's 25. Beautiful. Try to keep flying runway heading for now. What just happened to my altitude? Oh, there it is. There's 1,500. We'll start to make that right-hand turn out on course. And we're going to go level off at 3 for now. Will be the goal, and we'll see how long that lasts. So here, we'll fly that 330 for now. 2,000 feet. Fulton County traffic. Warrior 72 Juliet is departing the area to the northwest. Final call, clear the pattern in Fulton County. Fuel pumps can come off, verified good fuel flow. And we can turn the landing light off too. 2,800. 29, I'm going to start a gradual level off here. We're at 3,000 feet. Try to retrim her, so hold this down right there. Yep, she still wants to fly on me. Okay, chill out a little bit there, airplane. I was thinking 100-foot lead off would be good, but I guess I was just a little bit late on that. Come on, let's trim her down a little bit more than that. Usually a 10% rule I found works out well. I was thinking I could cheat myself a little bit less than that, but I guess this thing just climbs like a rocket. 2,200 on the RPM's already set. Let's just trim her out first. Get down to that 3,000 that we want. I believe that's Peck Lake over there, so we can even start that turn now. And actually, that doesn't look like Peck Lake. Let's just keep going this heading for now. I have actually ForeFlight open and connected to this, so even though I don't have a GPS on board, I can see where I am. Just an added safety feature. Let's see, does that make sense? Yep, Sock and Dog Lake's right there, so Peck Lake would actually be probably this one right here. So we'll go ahead and start to turn towards that. We're level off here at 3,000. I'm going to give it a little bit more power since we're doing a cross country, so right around the 2,300 point should be good, and we'll start to run through that cruise checklist once I'm level in straight and level flight. Wings level here, the plane is continuing to accelerate. The cruise checklist is really just going to be to lean that mixture out just a little bit until you see a very slight drop in RPM. There you go, slight drop. We'll set it to like half an inch above that. Engine instruments all look good. Fuel pump, landing lights off. Pitot heat, you know what? Let's turn that on for safety. Why not? Suction looks good. It's over there. Ammeter looks good. And the DG is still set. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and see if I cannot listen now to an AWAS that I know works, like Schenectady, 19275. And the answer is yes, it works. There you go. Alright, I just went ahead and turned my sim volume down just a little bit there. Going ahead and looking down at ForeFlight where you can actually see where we are. We passed Peck Lake, we're approaching all these little lakes here. I think we have the seal in, so the option, as you can see, is either going to be that we continue kind of around Stratford and around this lower terrain here, or to kind of cut through where the terrain pops up a little bit lower. And I actually think, or pops up a little higher, I should say, and I actually think that the plan of following these lakes around there, around that second line I drew, might work, because the ceilings are actually higher than what we originally thought. So I might just get myself up to 35 here. I'll give myself a little bit more power with the mixture, and well, I guess I could just use my physical throttle and get up to 35, and we should be pretty well clear of those clouds. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll just kind of follow these lakes over here. Well, we have the we have the ceiling, so why not, right, guys? Well, looks like we have made it through the worst of this terrain right here. Let's keep going. I'm actually almost tempted to climb even higher. I mean, now that the ceilings have cleared up, why not? So I'll tell you what, let's go up to, we're going west, well, actually, no, we've got a true course that's eastbound, so we could actually, you know what, let's keep a cruise climb going up to 55. Let's do that, make sure rich. In fact, actually, you could lean it out a little bit and trim it out to like a 90 knot cruise climb. So let's do that while we have the good sealants. If while we're flying we see sealants that don't look so great, you know what we'll do? We'll descend back down to 3. But this is a lot nicer than they predicted. Maybe all that junk over there is what they were worried was going to hit us. So that junk over there is just lake effect from Lake Ontario. So we get that a lot, especially in the higher elevations where all that upsloping terrain forces all that moisture upwards and condenses a lot earlier than it would otherwise, even if it's a very stable day. But I guess today that's just not happening, so hey, we'll take that. And here, fuel pump on, swap to the right side, fuel pump off, verified fuel pressure, remained in the green, beautiful. So, there's Piseco right in front of us, there's the airport right there, and the reason why I didn't want to make a landing there is notice how it's right on the leeward side of those mountains. Wind is straight from the northwest, so up there to down there. That is going to be a lot of shear off of those mountains there. A lot of turbulence with a 60-foot wide runway and what is it, just over 3,000 feet, I think. That's not really what we want, so I'm not going to consider a landing there. You have to know what you're doing. I'm not saying it's impossible, it's not, but for somebody like me with less than 1,000 hours, I really do not want to push it in something stupid like that. Anyways, let's talk for a second, completely unrelated to the flight while we're up here with this beautiful scenery. I am trying to make this an at least every other week thing with uploading this channel. I really like making these videos and editing them. My struggle these past few weeks has been, one, coming up with good ideas for videos. Like, I know this video isn't going to do particularly great because it's a GA airplane. People like airliners flying into crazy situations, right? Like the Janet into Greenland. But it's been, so part of it has just been trying to come up with good ideas that will make people want to watch those videos. I have a couple ideas. I tried recording one the other night, and I was just so tired that I realized nobody's going to want to watch this, and it just wasn't well thought through. It was an airliner. Whereas with this, you know, I don't really have to think it through as much and make it watchable, because this is something I do all the time in real life, flying these small airplanes around this terrain over here. So I think I can just hop in, do my normal planning, and make a good video out of it, and have it be both entertaining, because people like watching planes fly around terrain like this, but also enjoyable, because this is something that I actually kind of know what I'm doing, whereas the airliners, I actually have to think it through for it to look like I know what I'm doing, when in reality I don't. But I have noticed people do like it when I am uploading content that is in a topic that I am good at, so I'm trying my best not to just post slop, if that makes sense, which is why I need to think through these airline videos. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense. The other factor into this is just how much I've got going on in real life right now. I'm trying to get my multi-rating, my airplane, or I should say commercial multi-engine land rating, but I've been commuting between the airport I'm doing that, training at, and the airport I'm instructing at, and and with the weather up here in New York, it just hasn't been going as fast as I would have liked. I kind of expected that going into this, and it's given me a lot of time to study and make sure my ground knowledge on multis is really up to par. Which is good, that's really what you need. It looks like we're just now passing Piseco. This is a fun little airport. Hopefully one day I'll be able to make a video, maybe even in real life, out of this airport. It's just so fun to fly around up here. But I've been trying to keep my head in the multi-game between those flights, and I've got a few students that I've been flying with, and they're all over the place with how they're doing. Not that that matters, I'm not going to talk about student progress online, because that's personal between me and the student there. But I will say I do enjoy working with these guys. It's they're all good, and I hate to change the topic, but just back to the flight. Even though I see that I'm clear over these mountains, I would still like to stay over where the terrain is lower, just in case something develops in front of us. Like you can see, I don't know what that is. I don't know how far away it is. I don't know if it's going to keep developing. It's probably nothing, but for safety's sake, why fly over terrain where we know we can't descend lower if we have to? You see what I'm talking about here? So let's just go over this lake here instead. But no, I love working with these students. It's been amazing. I've got a good batch right now. But it just requires me to commute and figure out what I'm doing between students and multi-stuff. I recently had a flight. Now, in the beginning of this year, I mentioned how I was flying a Cessna. It was a 152, and we had very slight variations in the RPM as we climbed out, and I was kind of a little bit like, oh shoot, why is it doing that? I haven't seen that yet, and decided just to land. It was like 50 RPM variations, nothing too crazy, but still enough to say, hey, you know, let's get this looked at. And it ended up being, I think, like there was one fouled spark plug, and I think they thought that there was just a little bit of moisture in the fuel because the plane had been sitting out for a while. So anyways, whatever. I was taken off recently in a PA28, 140, so a little smaller than this one, with a student, and we had another slight variation in RPM. This time, in the upwind, it dropped from 2300 all the way down to 2000. We had enough power to maintain altitude, but I ended up just taking the controls, saying, look, we're staying in the pattern and we're going to be landing. It stayed there, hopped between 2000 and 22 for the remainder of the flight until I just chopped the power and did a power off landing. The student handled it well. Was a little bit like, okay, what the hell was that afterwards? But yeah, all was good there. I have to admit, every time I have been in a plane since then, this was like a couple weeks ago, and every time I've flown since then, every little change in RPM, I'm looking down like, what is that? Why is it doing that? You have to understand the context of me trying to make these videos are going between students and multi, and these last few real-world flights, I just have not been as relaxed as I usually have been, which is why I've decided, you know what, I want to make a video for you guys. Let's just do it in the planes that I fly in real life, so that I'm, one, in my comfort zone. It's easy, it's relatively easy content, it's what I'm good at and familiar with in real life, and two, it just gives me a chance to just get more in the groove of flying these things. Even though I know how to fly these, I know that these planes are safe and comfortable, I just need, for the sake of myself, to fly these a little bit more, if you know what I mean there. So hopefully you guys understand why I am not making an airline video this week. It's just keep myself in my comfort zone, you know? That's it for the rambling, though. I'm not going to bore you guys with too much stuff there. We think the cause of that loss of RPM was carb ice, just because we did notice an abnormality with the carb heat. When it deployed, it lost a little bit more RPM than expected. Actually, like a few hundred RPM. We were like, whoa, that's not good. We taxied back, and when it was about ready to shut down, I did another run-up, and it was fine. Let it run for a few minutes. Everything was good, so I figured we melted it off. I guess there was clearly something residual left, given that the RPM just kept dropping as we climbed out. So yeah, there you go. That was that's the first time that's ever happened to me, so I know this kind of stuff doesn't happen frequently. I just need to get myself back in my comfort zone, if you will, flying wise. So we're just gonna do this for fun today. We've already passed Piseco. We're flying over Long Lake right now. I think this is Long Lake, right? No, Indian Lake. Sorry, Long Lake is further up. And we're just gonna keep navigating VFR today. I just went on a whole spiel and realized I forgot to hit record there. So you see these red arrows on my ForeFlight here? That's where we're going to go. We're going to stay along the the east side of this ridge there, and that'll keep us to intercept that course that blue course on ForeFlight that will stay just to the west side of the high peaks. If you can see that there. Basically, what I was going on a spiel about. Let's say we were flying at like 2,000 feet AGL. Well, what if we had an engine failure? Where are we going, right? That's another thing to consider, and also a reason why I don't love the idea of flying just straight over there is if we had an engine failure, where are we going? Well, it's just the mountains over there, so not a lot of good options. Whereas right here, I know right behind us I saw a few residential areas, and there should be a road somewhere along here. It's not great, though, admittedly, right here. Maybe that little patch of field right there is where we'd aim for. You just have a lot more options with altitude, and I mean, why give yourself less options if you don't have to, right? It's also why I was saying, look, in real life, I'd say just fly around the west side of the entire Adirondack range, except the fact that you're gonna that it's gonna cost you a little bit more time and money. After my little engine kerfuffle recently, that's all I've been thinking about. Every time I see the RPM vary a little bit, even though in reality anything can cause that. A shift in winds can cause that. A pocket of turbulence can cause that. So anyways, just some things to think about for you guys, right? Alright everyone, we are now hugging the west side of the high peaks here. We're now proceeding direct to Saranac Lake. Just went ahead and grabbed the altimeter on ForeFlight. Was reporting 2965. They're still reporting an overcast at 2,000 feet, which will be 3,700 above sea level. So obviously, whatever we have in the sim is a little bit nicer than that. They also are reporting that runway 27, my original runway of choice, is now closed by NOTAM, probably due to snow removal. So anyways, since we are 20 miles out now and you can see the lakes in front of us that we could just follow all the way there, let's go and grab the ASOS of 24.175. So we'll throw that in, 175 there, see what we can hear. Not Lima Kilo Papa. Sierra Lima Kilo. That sounds better. 263 at 8. Actually, not bad. 8 knots. 1,500 overcast. Guys. Guys, I hate to break it to you. Now it's Lima Kilo Papa. It's either Saranac Lake or it's Lake Placid. They're both the same frequencies and they're going to say the same thing. So 23.0 for the CTAF now. Gentlemen, I have some breaking news for you. Now obviously we have to listen to the METAR to get a rough idea of what the weather's doing and to set our altimeters. Gentlemen, METARs are bullshit. And I'm not saying disregard them. They give you a good idea of a snapshot of what the observation station saw at a specific moment in time. That's great. Does not mean that is exactly what you are going to see. The observation station has errors, and also weather is dynamic. It changes all the time. I've seen this happen so many times where METARs report completely opposite stuff. If you are looking outside and you're seeing something that doesn't match with what the observation station is saying, guess what? Your eyes are better than a stupid automated station. Okay, guys. So in this case, I think the weather's going to be better than what they're forecasting. Alright, showing 5 miles out now. Let's just get ourselves situated here. One more time. Winds are out of the west today. We are going to be taking runway 23 this way on the head indicator, and you can visually see it right there. It's that runway right there. No TAMs, runway 27's closed, and we are 111 braking conditions, so we'll treat this as a soft field landing, no braking action at all. Put the landing light on. Saranac Lake traffic, Warrior 72 Juliet is 5 miles to the south inbound. We're making the, joining the left downwind for runway 23 Saranac Lake. Pound altitude will be 26, field elevation 16. Altimeter 29er, 69er set. Saranac Lake traffic, Warrior 72 Juliet is now 3 miles to the south. We'll be joining the 45 for the left downwind, runway 23, full stop, Saranac Lake. Alright, 1,000 to go before pattern. Lights on, mixture rich. Carb heat is cold, and we're going to leave that on cold unless we suspect carb ice. And you know what? I can now go on like a 30-minute rant about carb ice and carb heat in the Cherokees after I had that situation, because that suspected carb ice buildup was in a PA28 on takeoff roll, which is, you'd think, unheard of, right? Well, guess what? There's actually cases of that happening. So anyways, we're basically on a 45 right now, so I'll just go ahead and start to maneuver myself around. You see that little mountain right there. There we go. We're nicely on this downwind at this point. I'm going to go ahead and almost there at pattern, and actually really that's pattern right there, so I'll go ahead and just put 22 on the RPM in. Throttle set. We're on the right fuel tank. Mixture rich. Carb heat off. Fuel pumps on. Lights on. Saranac Lake traffic, 72 Juliet left down, 23 full stop, Saranac Lake. Once we're being the threshold, you know what to do. We'll just go ahead and bring the power to 17, right around there, power 17. And let her stabilize. There, we are in the white arc. We can bring that first notch of flaps in. And it's been a while since I've flown the Warrior in real life, but I'm going to use like an 85, 75, 65 for the approach. That should work out, because the 140s are usually that I fly most in real life are in miles per hour, so I'll usually use 95, 85, 75 for those. Alright, we can start this turn inbound. Actually, we're getting a bit of a wind drift here. I guess that makes sense. We were expecting a crosswind there. I'm going to give it a little bit more power. I don't like this descent rate. This is a little bit too steep. There you go. There you go. Looking okay. Saranac Lake traffic, Warrior 72 Juliet, left base runway 23, full stop, Saranac Lake. Yeah, it's a tiny bit low for my like, but once I roll out of this, I bet you... Well, actually no, because we have a headwind in this portion, because remember, it's a crosswind out of the right here, ever so slightly, so I'm actually just going to not bring that second notch in. You know, I want let's use the flaps when we need it, right? There's no need to just blindly put them out on base leg if we don't need it. There we go. And now we need to actually start to reduce that speed. And luckily we're a little low on altitude, so I can just trade that off by doing this. And we'll start to feel out that crosswind, see how much rudder I need. I know that seemed like that was very aggressive on the rudder, but that's just the sensitivity on the sim here. Bring that second notch in now. And you know what? Actually, we might want to... Actually, no, we should land with full flaps because of the slick conditions here. So as we cross over the threshold, full flaps, take a little bit of power out, pitch the nose up, just so we can get it down to 65. And I'm just using my rudders just enough to keep this nose going down the center line here. Ailerons into the wind, there you go. It is just a slip, that's all this is. And it's actually not really that bad of a crosswind right now. I think maybe at altitude it was a little worse than right here. So I'll just start to ease a little bit of power out. Come on, keep her going, keep her going. Keep her going, keep her going. There you go. A little bit less than that. She still wants to float on me. And, okay, there you go. Shut the power. Oh, I think we bounced a little bit there. Okay, there you go. And that was... There you go. Not too bad. A little bit bouncy there. I think I came in a little bit fast. Alright. Alright, flaps coming up. Keep this crosswind correction in. And we'll, go gently tap the brakes, see how the braking action's fine. What do you mean 111? Alright, let's go exit the runway here on Delta here. Or actually no, this is Bravo. I'm sorry guys. And we'll make that call after landing. Flaps are up, mixture leaning, fuel pump off, landing light off, and carb heat's off. Alright, Saranac Lake traffic, 72 Juliet is clear of runway 23. I'm Bravo, taxiing to parking. Actually, correction, we'll taxi via Bravo Alpha and Delta, 72 Juliet. So we'll just make a right turn here and then just take Delta over to parking. I mean, why not? Actually, you know what? Now that I'm on the ground here, it does look like the wind's picked up just a little bit. I mean, not horrible, but just enough to where the windsock is starting to say, hey, it's a little bit gusty here. But not too horrible. I probably just held in too much rudder there, which is why the plane slid a little bit. Oh well, oh well. I need to adjust my rudder sensitivity in this, you know. We're going to say that I need to adjust my rudder sensitivity in this, that way I can blame it on the sim and not my own piloting skills. And, oh, funny story, I flew here once when I was a private student with an instructor, and my instructor tried to park us right here. Turns out this is the Cape Air ramp. Rampers were not happy with us at all. My instructor was even saying, like, oh, what an asshole. I mean, holy hell, like, just say, hey, you, park here. You don't need to scream. Anyways, whatever. We'll just go ahead and park it around here and call it a day. And right around here, I will go ahead and swing her around, park it right over there, bring it to a stop, park and brake on, shut down, which makes sure that maybe the radio master is off, and all lights here are off. We could check the grounding of this real quick. Yep, that seemed to work. Don't leave it on start, please. Just leave it on both. That's going to kill the starter. Grounding worked great. I'm going to go ahead and pull the mixture. Engine shut down, no problem. Mags can come off. And we'll turn the battery off, and this thing is not going to give me the stupid load in, you've completed the flight thing. That's actually really... Oh, you know why? Maybe because my mags aren't off. There you go. Alright. Great. That's this flight complete. Let's go ahead and set the chunks and open the door. Well, everybody, welcome to Saranac Lake here. Local time is 11 a.m. Absolutely beautiful day. Much better than we thought it would be. I thought it was going to be like 2,000-foot ceilings the whole way and that this would be a little sketchy. But, hey, you know what? In all seriousness, though, I still stand by that if we were doing this in real life, we should have just planned around the whole mountain range to begin with and took an extra half hour in the flight. It's much better to be on the ground and looking at these conditions and wishing you were in the air than, of course, being in the air and seeing conditions deteriorate and saying, oh, I really wish I was on the ground right now. I've been there both cases many times, and yeah, the feeling of being on the ground wishing you're in the air is so much better. But anyways, welcome to Saranac Lake. Not too much to debrief. I hope you guys got a little something out of this in terms of how we navigate around these mountains. And of course, I'd love to hear feedback from you guys. Obviously, these mountains are nothing too crazy compared to what you might get out west. So if anybody has actual insight into that and is watching from one of those areas, absolutely let me know. Hope you guys did enjoy this flight. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you did enjoy, of course, feel free to leave a like. It really helps out the video and channel. So, of course, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and have a good one, everybody.